In this video, I'm going to outline a massive mistake that I notice a lot of younger pilots make when they're starting out their career towards becoming a pilot. And I'm going to try and tackle it for you guys who may be younger, considering becoming a pilot. You've maybe even been to some skills assessments and some interviews, and you found that it's been a really big challenge. And I'm going to try and break down for you exactly how to approach these situations, because actually what I've found is that there are three fundamental things to consider when it comes to approaching these assessments if you are a younger person. Now, of course, it's going to be from a level of self-development so that you guys can implement hopefully some tactics that will help you in the long run when it comes to applying for assessments, when it comes to approaching aviation from a general point of view as well, for your flying, for your decision making, everything. Now, just as a quick disclaimer, everything I say in this video is from my personal experience, expertise, working with guys like yourself who are aspiring to be pilots. I've noticed a lot of these qualities in my group calls that I have with younger guys, and so I picked up on some of these things, and thankfully I've been able to help sift these things out, and I want to help you guys do the same thing on a more broader scale. Now, again, this is all from my own experience, expertise. Nothing I say has been affiliated with anybody else other than myself. And my background is that I'm a commercial pilot, and I was actually one of the youngest British Asian Muslim pilots in the entirety of the UK. And so my ambition is that I may be able to help you wherever you are on your journey make that transition towards becoming an airline pilot. Now, the first thing that I want you to really consider at your stage is the term self-awareness. Now, what I mean by that is understanding where you are on your journey and really appreciate that there are other people in a similar position to yourself. You are not an anomaly when it comes to wanting to be a pilot. Just look at the view count on some of the videos that I've made. There's thousands and thousands of people that want to do this. Now, why is that important? Well, if you want to be that one individual that stands out, you need to have a level of self-awareness. What a lot of younger guys don't realize is that just because you're the youngest one in the group doesn't mean you're going to get hired or you're going to get selected out of everybody else because, you know, you're going to have the longest career in the aviation sector. I used to think the same thing. So you need to understand that maybe there are going to be weaknesses in your character. There are going to be weaknesses in your skills. There are going to be weaknesses in your, what we call pilot competencies, that you may need to advance and develop on. Nobody in this industry, and in any industry for that matter, is perfect. And that is something that you really need to remember, not just for flying, but for everything in life. If you want to improve in anything in life, you always need to remember that there's going to be someone out there better than you. And so it's really important to understand where you are on your journey and being self-aware enough to understand what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, and working on those weaknesses so that you can hopefully improve them and they can become your strengths. Now, I know that sounds really basic, but what I want you to understand is that if you look at the life of LeBron James, Serena Williams, all of these fantastic individuals that have achieved really great things, I can almost guarantee they were not born perfect. Of course, you guys might have a really high level of natural ability. That is fantastic. We all do. We all have certain elements of genetic gifts that our parents passed down to us, which is fantastic. We need to make the most of those gifts that we were given. However, these people in these high up positions had put in an extensive amount of work into becoming who and what they have become. So it's so important and valuable that you put in the work too. When you've looked through your list of strengths and weaknesses, and looking through that list, you found a weakness being interviews. You've said, I really struggle in interviews. Now, you have to delve a little bit deeper. Build yourself a flowchart. That interview has loads of branches to it. Communication, confidence, all of these things. It has a lot of these characteristics that you will need to work on in order to lock off that interview bubble. So what you really need to focus on are those intangible qualities. So if, for example, you really struggle in interviews because you get nervous, and then when they ask you a question that you don't know what to say, then what you need to work on potentially is your communication skills. Now, this is an area that obviously younger guys really tend to struggle on because, of course, maybe you don't have as much experience and background as the older guys. I really noticed that the older guys have tended to build these intangible qualities a lot more than the younger guys. And that's not a discredit to the younger guys, because I was like you. So what I mean by that is the older guys have had life experience, they've built their own self-confidence through troubles and trials and tribulations that they've had to go through. So they're at this moment in life where they know what works for them, they know what doesn't work for them, they've worked on some of the things that didn't work for them to put that in their favor, and now they're in a position where they are almost a complete person. Now again, nobody is perfect. However, they are in a position in life where they have come out from all of these trials and tribulations, all of these life experiences, building on these intangible characteristics. Now, if I was to like give you guys an analogy with like games, if you were going on like your FIFA statistics, or if you play any other games, if you go to like the gunsmith on Call of Duty, you'll notice there are qualities, right? So for example, on FIFA, there's like 99 pace. Let's say you're in a position where you have 55 communication. And what does that mean? So that means your communication is going to need to be improved on to get that 99 overall statistic, right? So what you really need to work on is being self-aware enough to know, I've got 55 communication. And if I was to use Call of Duty terms, I'd say you've got really bad recoil. So what you need is to add a grip so that you can get some more steadier aim. Or in FIFA terms, you need to work on that communication. You need to get a training plan in your career mode and literally lock in on that communication. Now I'm using these analogies, they might be funny to some people, but it's to really make it relatable for you guys, that actually understanding where you are on your journey, and that's the beauty of having a software like FIFA and playing games like FIFA, because you can literally see your pro character, what his statistics are. You can literally see that. So I want you to embody the same mentality. I want you to paint yourself a picture, see your statistics on that picture, and see where you can work on, where you can improve on to get that 99 overall. Now I hope that makes sense to you guys, because actually it's so important in our field. When it comes to approaching anything in life, if you can work on all of these little areas to become the best person you physically can, then that is so important. Now, another thing that I notice with a lot of guys is a sense of overconfidence. Now, don't get on my back. I am just saying this because I've noticed it from not only myself, but from other guys as well. I used to be really confident that I will be able to ace everything. But the reality is that sometimes it is not as plain sailing as it seems. You need to understand that you will have to put in the work. For me, when I started ground school, I really thought, oh, like this is gonna be a breeze, a walk in the park. And then I got in there, and it took me about 1 week to realize I have no idea what I just got myself in for. Now, yes, it is gonna be tough, and it's not gonna get any easier throughout the entirety of your training. However, what you need to realize and really need to lock off is that you are not the perfect person just yet. You really need to be aware of the fact that you are going to need to put in the work. You are going to need to really knuckle down, focus, really try not to go out every night and waste time doing things that are not fruitful to yourself. I was speaking to a trainee pilot really recently, and he said something so interesting to me, that one of the non-negotiables throughout the entirety of his training was that he would go to the gym every single day. Now for me, I was thinking, I didn't even have time to go to the gym. But what I actually took from that was really valuable actually, because he said to himself, I refuse to let that part of me slip. And what that means from a subconscious level is that he has a standard for himself that he has outlined, and he said, I am not going to let that slip. And that is discipline. Is that going to benefit him in the theory exams? Is that going to give him more knowledge to put into those assessments and exams? Probably not. However, what it is going to give him is a sense of discipline. And what that means is everything he's scheduled around that gym session is going to be also approached with discipline. There's a saying, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you commit yourself to being disciplined on going to the gym, being disciplined on waking up at this specific time, then I can almost guarantee you're going to be also disciplined when it comes to putting in the work. And what people often forget is they become overly confident. They think, I can just lie in, I won't have to worry about it. But they never have the discipline to say to themselves, actually, maybe I'm not at the level I want to be, but I'm going to put in the work. I'm going to do this on a daily basis, be disciplined enough to then, hopefully, when I get to the end of this training, be successful. And that is the important element. Don't be overconfident. Don't think to yourself, I'm going to ace all of these exams with no worries whatsoever. It's going to be super easy. Really, really knuckle down, lock in, work hard, because that period of your life is going to shape the rest of your future. If you can literally knuckle down on your theory exams or your practical flying, whatever you're doing, this flight training that you've invested so much money into, if you can knuckle down during the period of that, you will put yourself years and years ahead of other people in similar position to yourself. Now, this is to throw no shade at anybody in my particular age bracket or anything like that, but I am earning in the top 1% of my age bracket because of how much work I put in at the start. And I was overly confident at the start, but I was quickly humbled, and I very quickly realized I need to put in the work in order to get to that end goal where I put myself years and years ahead of my peers. So I did that, I put in the work. And so I want you guys to do the same. Don't go into your lessons thinking, oh, I know everything. Really, really try and absorb as much information as you can, learn as much as you physically can, because these are going to be the most valuable years of your life, and they're going to propel you for years and years to come. Now, the final thing I really, really want you to lock in on and remember is consistency. Turn up every single day with the same mentality. I know there's going to be days where you're thinking, oh, I can't do this anymore. This is so tough. I was there. I know how it feels. It's not easy. But you have to be consistent. If you're a gym rat and you go to the gym, every single day, if you are creating those micro tears, what's going to happen? Eventually, you're going to grow. And so being consistent, they're tiny little tears that you're putting into that muscle. But this is what we're doing with our brain as well. We're building tiny little neurological pathways for information to get across our brain, because our brain is so powerful. So every single bit of information we take, and every time we repeat that information, every time we do all of these things, we are building stronger connections, neurological pathways to that bit of information. So always be consistent with what you're doing and see it out to the end. Never ever give up halfway. Always, when you approach something, approach it with the mindset that I am not going to stop until I have achieved what I've set out to achieve. And even if it takes years, just those micro level gains are going to go an extremely long way. If I was to give you an example, I'm currently learning Arabic, and I'm awful. I'll be completely truthful. I am so awful at it. However, every single day, I'm still working on it. I'm still trying. I'm still going, because I know that in a year time, 2 years time, 3 years time, 4 years time, I'm going to eventually build up a very big knowledge basis of Arabic language. And there's absolutely no reason for me not to be able to do that. If you're consistent enough, it is absolutely unreasonable and illogical to say that you're going to fail. Every single day you're working on these little things to develop yourself, these little areas to improve those weaknesses and turn them into strengths. You're constantly working on them. Then there is absolutely no reason you should fail in anything that you undertake. So always remember, consistency is so important in anything in life, but when it comes to the flying element, it is super important. Don't ever allow yourself to slip. If you need a break throughout your training, that's absolutely understandable too. I've taken breaks throughout my training. Sometimes we do need to reset, but that doesn't mean that it's not productive. What you're doing by resetting and taking that break is actually a productive thing, because you're allowing your brain to catch back up. So that's not wrong either, but don't do it in excess. You are there for a reason. You're pursuing your dream job. And when it's done, when you achieve that goal of becoming a pilot, I can almost 1,000,000% guarantee that you will be so appreciative of all of those little bits of work you did along that journey. And it doesn't stop there either. For me right now, I haven't just decided to give up and say, I've achieved what I wanted to do and I'm going to stop. I've continued and I've persisted, and I want to continue to grow as an individual. I don't want to stop. I want to make sure that I am the best person I physically can be. So I approach my entire life with these 3 core values in mind. that is how you can be a successful person. That is how you can be successful in the aviation industry and even in life in general. So I really want you to drill those in. And if you are a younger guy considering becoming a pilot, you need help on that journey, feel free to book in a call with me in the description. I'll be more than happy to assist you on that journey if we are a good fit. If I could ask you guys for a massive favor, just like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're enjoying the content that I'm producing. I will continue to produce on a weekly basis. And all I really ask is that you just continue to support me. Ask me any questions in the comments. I actually do read through them. I can't always reply to them because I'm very, very busy. I run this whole thing by myself. I always read through them because they give me inspiration to make videos like this. And so please leave comments, like the video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll hopefully see you guys very, very soon.